Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to do an everyday makeup look. So we're going to get started with eyebrows. So I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyebrow pomade. So what I do is I will start by underlining the underside of my eyebrow. And I'll just line it up and follow the natural curve of my eyebrow. And then I will go in and do the top. I will start at the back and then fill in the point and then work towards the front. Most people don't fill in the front of their eyebrow, but I do because my eyebrow hair is really sparse at the front. So I'll fill it in and then I'll use my spoolie and I'll lighten it up so it's not super heavy at the front and makes it look more natural. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. So now we're going to go in and conceal. What I use is the Morphe Eyebrow Powder palette, and it comes with a concealer, and I use that one. So I'll use an angled brush, and I will just follow the outline of my eyebrow. I don't pay attention too much when I'm putting on my eyebrows about trying to keep it clean because I know I'll conceal it. But I typically try and stick with the natural shape. So yeah, we're just going to conceal it real quick. So now I'm going to go in with a fluffy tiny brush and just buff out the concealer so it blends in with the foundation and doesn't have any harsh lines.
Wanna shake the ground, wanna break away, let loose. I'm tired of waiting, gotta make that move. All the neon signs, now they shout to me and you to write our story. Wanna shape the new.
So now we're gonna start with our foundation.
Do you wanna come along with me?
Ulta Beauty
Come
face
along
primer.
with me.
It's coconut water and it really moisturizes my face. I have super sensitive skin, so this is super helpful for my face. It doesn't make me break out or it doesn't give me a rash or anything, so this is a really nice product.
And tomorrow's far away. Should I let the party fade? And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something. Let us go tonight.
So next I'm going to go in with another primer. This one is to fill in my pores and make them appear to be smaller or not there at all. It's the Ulta Beauty Mattifying Primer. So I will just use a pea-size amount and then I will put it on my T-zone and then around my chin. I only put it in the places where my pores are heavy at, and it just really helps to cover those when I put on the foundation, and it creates a smooth surface.
Gotta do something, get it right. Gonna keep on running, grab the fun and live it light. And tomorrow's far away. Should I let the party fade? And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something. Let us know tonight.
So now we're going to start on foundation. So I mix two. So the first one that I use is a Morphe. It's the F160, or shade F160. And so I just put a little bit on the palette that I use to mix the two. And then the second one is Urban Decay Naked Skin, and I just put a little bit of a dot on there, an equal amount of both. I really like the consistency, but it also looks really well on my skin. I have a rougher texture on my skin, so these foundations work really well to make it appear smooth. So I just go in and I'll mix it with a brush, the end of a brush, and then I'll apply it. I use, to put on my foundation, the M6 brush from Morphe. So it's a flat kabuki brush. It is super dense. So what I do to put it on is I use a mixture of a swiping motion and a stippling motion to make sure that it's even and I have the most coverage.
One chance, you will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night, and when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night, this summer night. Sleeping in the back of a van, roaming in the wilderness. We'll never need a plan. We'll be alright, just you and I. Singing from the top of our lungs, dancing by the lakeside. Gonna do it while we're young. In a moment it will all be gone. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night, and when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night.
Now I start with concealer. What I use is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I use two shades and I mix them together. So I start with the darker shade first.
Someday we will look back,
And then I put on that lighter shade.
our hearts will be whole again.
So I'm going to end up applying this to my under eyes, and then I apply a small amount to my forehead, my nose, and my chin. This is to brighten my face, but also to cover my dark circles underneath my eyes. Now I'm just going to take a beauty blender and I'm going to blend it all out and smooth it into the face.
Your face in the crowd. I never thought that I would see it tonight. We lock eyes. got drunk and ended up at your place. From the moment that I saw you, I knew that it was love, bet that you felt the same. Standing here, I need to let you know, what if I had never let you go? Standing here, I need to let you know that I need you tonight. You should know that I miss you.
Next, what we're going to use, it's called Coty Airspun. It's a setting powder. So I'm going to take the end of my beauty blender that I use to blend in the concealer, and I'm just going to put that on the underneath of my eyes to make sure, one, that it doesn't crease, but also I'm setting up a guide to put on my bronzer. So I put a considerable amount under there, and then I start with my jawline. So now that we got that on with there, we're going to start with our bronzer. I use Hoola by Benefit bronzer. I'm running a little low at the moment, but it'll still work. So I swirl my brush in there, and then I put it on my face using circular motions to make sure that it's not patchy and there aren't any harsh lines.
To be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my head down if I won. Don't you just get tired chasing fame and being pretty all the time? Doesn't sound like fun.
So I'm going to do this on both sides of my face until I'm happy with the coverage and make sure that it's even. And now I'm going to start with my forehead and the sides of my forehead. So I don't use a whole lot, but I just use a little bit just to bring the whole face together, but also make my forehead appear smaller. Now I'm going to put the bronzer on the underneath side of my bottom lip to make my lip appear more plump. And then I'm going to also contour my nose with the bronzer. If your line gets to be too harsh, once you're wiping off that setting powder, it just blends in really nicely. Now we're going to go in and we're going to wipe off that setting powder, and we're just going to blend all of the bronzer in.
Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes off, you don't have to hide it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder.
If you need to dip into that setting powder and move around the bronzer just a little bit to get it the shape that you want it and the areas that you want it, you can do so, which I'm doing right now. I noticed that the bronzer was a little heavier on one side, so I'm just going in and putting some more on the other side just to make sure that it's even. So now I'm going to take that bronzer and I'm going to put just a little bit on my jaw area and underneath my chin to make my jawline seem stronger and to hide a little bit of that fat underneath my chin. And then after that, I'm just going to take my setting powder and I'm going to blend that bronzer into the neck.
She's awake all the time. What are you trying to find? I hope this ain't a lie. 'Cause I'm vibing with all we have. Yeah, I'm feeling what we are now. I'm laying down on the ground. All I do is thinking out loud. Yeah, I'm vibing with all we have. I'm feeling what we are now. All I do is thinking out loud.
So now I'm going to take my blush. This is an Ulta Beauty blush that I got. I just stamp it on my hand so it's not as pigmented when I put it on my face, and then I just do a swiping motion towards the bronzer that I applied. If your blush appears to be too pigmented or too bright or more than you want, you can take your beauty blender that you use for your concealer and you can just pat some of that excess concealer that's on the beauty blender, or you can take some of your setting powder and go over it as well. Now we're going to start with our eyeshadow. So I use the Laura Lee Los Angeles Cat's Pajamas palette. And I'm going to go in with my base shade called Redonkulous. I'm going to tap it off, and then I'm just going to put it on my eyelid all over using a swiping motion and a swirling motion.
What are you trying to find? I'm running with these emotions. Tell me, what do you have in mind? Tell me, what do you have in mind? Tell me, what do you have in mind? What are you trying to find? Are we just wasting time? I wanna know, so tell me, what do you have in mind? What are you trying to find? Are we just wasting time? I wanna know, so tell me, what do you have in mind?
I don't know who you are, I don't know what you've been through, why you got scars. Since you walked through the door, I've been trying to reach you, 'cause I feel you. What's the story to tell? What's the story behind the mountain you're
Now I'm going to use a bigger brush, and I'm just going to blend the outside of that eyeshadow just to soften it so it's not so harsh on the ends. Now we're going to take a tiny flat brush and we're going to take some of that concealer and we are going to put that on our eye to prepare for putting on the glitter. So we're just going to do the inner corner about halfway over the eyelid. So now we're going to take that same brush and we're going to go into that gold glitter shade. And we're just going to pack it onto the eyelid.
What's the story about you? What's the story behind that sad tattoo you're trying to hide? I think I've heard it before in a movie line. We can write our own ending this time. I wanna say no, but I cannot lie. I am so curious about your life, but you're a stranger trying to hide. What I see is not you, don't deny. I wanna see the rest of you tonight. Seven of you and only one is for real. You spin me around and you make me leave.
We're going to take our setting powder brush and we're just going to wipe off the excess of the eyeshadow that had fallen. And then we are going to go into that base shade again and we're just going to blend out the eyeshadow to make sure that it blends well and there aren't any harsh lines. We're going to take a tiny under eye brush and we're going to go in with that base shade again. And we are going to apply that on the under eye just so that it pulls the whole eyes together. So now we're going to start with mascara. We're going to curl our eyelashes first. Notice how I skip the step of eyeliner because the way that I do my eyeliner is I use my mascara. So I'm going to use my e.l.f. Volume Plumping Mascara. And I'm going to start by putting it at the root of my eyelashes to create that underline effect.
Always with you, yeah. You light up my days, make tears go away. Sun shines on my face when you're here, when you're with me, yeah. You and me and you in a teenage dream, living free, coming through like it's supposed to be. In a teenage dream.
Now I'm going to go in with this Rimmel London Wonderlash mascara, and this just adds some more mascara to make my eyelashes appear thicker, but also just to spread them out a bit more too. So now we're going to go in with a lipstick. I'm using my favorite lipstick. It's an Ulta Beauty nude lipstick in pink chocolate. Nudes are my absolute favorite, and it just matches the eyeshadow so well. Now we're going to be going in with some highlighter, and we're going to be using the Glazed Laura Lee Los Angeles highlighter palette in the shade Glow Gal. We're just going to use a fluffy brush, tap the excess off, and then put it on. We're going to put some on the bridge of our nose, and then just a smidge on the top lip. Now to fully set the face, we're going to take our e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set, and we're just going to generously spray it all over our face. And then what I like to do is I take my fan and I fan my face so that it's dry. So this is the finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked it.